Hey everyone, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and I have a lot of dried, you can see very dry, avocado pits and skins. Today we are going to go look at the difference that an alum mordant will make on wool yarns when we're dyeing with a combination of avocado pits and skins. First, I want to see how much material we actually have to work with. I have saved these avocados, pits, and skins over months, I think, making sure that they dry before saving them in a container. Fresh might be better, so we might overall get different results than we did the first time we tried dyeing with avocado pits and skins, although that time we used no mordants. But I am really excited to see if we can get some more intense coloration on it this time. I have about 171 grams of avocado. And I do want to point out that this avocado is dry, which means that there's even more avocado pits and skins here than we thought. And so this is about 6 ounces. I think last time when I was dyeing yarn with avocado, I had a lot more weight of the skins and pits. But again, they were wet, and so that adds a significant amount of water volume. I definitely have way more skins than pits here, just from what I've been saving over the last, gosh, several months. But let's go see what we can create. In a stainless steel pot, I'm starting with 4 cups of water, and I am going to add these dried avocado pits and skins. If I see any labels, I am going to try to remove those as well. I think I've removed most of them already. I might need more water. I'm going to add another 4 cups of water. That way we can have as much as possible in solution. Again, we might need to add more because as the material gets rehydrated, it might take up more space. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, another label. Oh, those things are pesky. But now I'm going to put a lid on my pot and bring it up to a boil and simmer for at least an hour. Okay, after an hour I am ready to stop simmering, and there's a lot of pigment in here. If I push down, you can't even really see the edge of my spoon. Maybe I should have done this with some more water. I don't know if it'll be worth doing like a second round. I'm also not sure if there's enough pigment for 400 grams of yarn, which was my plan. But we'll see, and we're gonna try. So I'm now gonna turn off the heat, put the cover back on, and let this cool until I can comfortably handle it. It's still really hot, but we're gonna start trying to strain it at least a little bit at a time. I've got the mordanted fiber in the larger pot, and the one without mordant in the smaller pot. I'm going to slowly start to add color in each of these pots. It's looking really brown right now. Okay, so far they each have 2 cups. Third cup. It's still slightly warm. Okay, we're now going down to 1/4 cups. Whoops. 1, 2. That's 3.5 cups there. 3.5 cups here. Tiny bit more here. Tiny bit more there. Okay, we are roughly divided in half. Now clearly clearly we need more water in here, and it is hot already, so there is something. Whoa. It's definitely funny, that one's looking more brown. All right, I'm gonna add more water to both pans. So I'm rinsing off our extract in case there's any more pigment. Just adding water back onto the avocado, leaves and skins, and roughly dividing it in the two pans. After those rinses, I'm going to add an additional 4 cups of water to each pan. Okay, the burner on the small pot with no mordant is slightly smaller than the burner on the large pot that has the mordant. And I promise I added the exact same amount of everything to each container. But this one is looking more peach and that one's looking more brown, which was not what I was expecting. I have not added any vinegar, and there's definitely some avocado crud that made it all the way in. So we'll see how this goes. I wish I had 2 little spoons I could use to check, but I guess I can check the no mordant first. So right now, just like a slight pale yellow, and the one with the mordant looks about the same, but something about the character or the tone of the color is different. We shall see. Okay, I'm going to bring these up to a low simmer and then we'll check in. The pots were starting to bubble, so I turned the heat down to like a medium-low level. And now I'm going to leave it here for an hour. I'm not planning on coming and moving the yarn around. I'm just going to check to make sure we don't get like a vigorous boil. But yeah, I'm curious how this will end up because both of these are colors that we've seen before. I haven't tried superwash wool with avocados before, only cotton and non-superwash wool. I also have not added any vinegar. I should have checked to see if it's pH sensitive. Oh well. Right now it does look like our superwash is absorbing more than our non-superwash by a hair. And similarly over here, we've got probably the superwash and the non-superwash also by a hair, which is consistent with what I've seen with all of the natural dyeing I've done so far. Anyway, we'll be back in about an hour. Well, I'm still estimating, but I think I might need to start saving pits and skins again. I mean, I like the color with no mordant better than with the mordant. I think that maybe I should have kept the heat on the pits and skins lower. Sort of like the mistake I made with black beans the first time, and I just shouldn't have put it on heat. So that could be the reason why we've browned. But, I mean, it's not like an ugly brown that we're seeing over there. So it does look like we're getting some pigment, but I will reduce the heat to low on both of these pans nevertheless. And there are 47 minutes left on our timer, so I'll be back soon. After an hour, the no mordant and with mordant look pretty much the same. Okay, now I am going to turn the heat off, but I'm going to leave it to stay in the pots overnight. I'm not sure if I'm going to absorb a lot more color in any of the yarn. I'm not sure how clear the pots are, but yeah, I am curious to see. Goodness, I don't know if I don't think I still have the original wools that I dyed. I think that those have sold from the Etsy shop, but I am excited to wash and compare these to each other and see if the colors clarify at all through the rinsing. Anyway, I will check back in tomorrow morning. Not much has changed overnight in terms of our color. We definitely have a lot more color in our superwash than our non-superwash. I think this feels like a warm brown more than a pink, and maybe a pale tan in the non-superwash, but let's go wash it. I just started washing with a little bit of clear dish soap. And we're seeing some bleeding, but it's to be expected given that we definitely had some color left in there. I didn't add any vinegar to my dye bath. My tap water is slightly acidic, so you know, I think that maybe if the water were slightly basic, you would need some vinegar to get conditions right. There's a bit of bleeding, which is to be expected because we did have a lot of color left behind. Even if I heated things too much, so we lost the pinks and went more brown, I like this warm color. There is not as much color in the non-superwash wool, which again is something that we have expected and is consistent with what we have seen in the past. Something about the superwash treatment lets it absorb more color easily, and yeah, so I'm going to keep washing this, trying to remove as much of the vegetable matter as I can, and then we'll go and wash the one that had the mordant. Now let's look at our yarn that had the mordant. And this color, I would say both of them took more color, at least the way it looks right now. Looking at the dye baths, I'm trying to see if I feel a difference. I did start off with the exact same amount of water. The pots are different sizes. Yeah, the color and the hue in them might feel a tiny bit different. And it could be because of the depth, but it does feel like there's more pigment left in this one. Let's wash the yarn. This yarn has been through a bit more. And qualitatively, it looks like our 100% wool did absorb more color this time than the last one. The hues are definitely more yellow than what we got before. The other ones had a little more, when I say warmth, I mean yellow could be warmth too, but it's got more red in that brown, and these are more yellowish. I will be curious to look at all the damp yarn next to each other. I'm again using clear dish soap to wash this, but yeah, I'm excited. I didn't check to see whether our mordant has adjusted the pH of our dye bath, because honestly, we've seen with a lot of natural dyes in the past that pH can change the hue that we see. And so I'm not sure if that is one of the elements from the color difference, or if it's the aluminum ions, the metals themselves, that have bound to the yarn. Certainly, I think that there is, again, more color in our 100% wool yarn, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to include that as well. I know that the superwash yarns will absorb more color than the non-superwash threads, but I was curious to see if using the mordant would affect the depth of shade that we get. Now clearly, I probably need to save up double or even triple the amount of avocado pits and skins that I did this time, because I think more material would be more pigment, and I plan, even if it takes another year for me to start saving up, to save up more pits and skins and dry them for another experiment in the future. But once I finish washing this, I'll put it through the spin dryer with the other skeins, and then we'll come back and take a look at how things turned out. Here is all of the yarn that we dyed with avocado. We have our Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn with mordant and without mordant. And then we have our Swish DK 100% superwash merino yarn with no mordant, and then with our Alum Mordant. I have to say, I am surprised by those greens that we got with the addition of the mordant. I suppose I was expecting to see a bit more pink, because there's no question that we got a lovely, lovely pink without the mordant. It is definitely possible that I had the pot a little too hot, and that could have shifted the colors. Also, I did not pre-rinse our yarn after I did the Alum Mordant. So there could have been some extra stuff in there that could have shifted the pH and maybe shifted the color. The hues are very similar from our no mordant and yes mordant. We have more of a yellow green over here and more of a pinkish color on over here. And in both cases, our superwash yarns did absorb more color than the non-superwash. Even the nylon zip ties took up a little bit of color. With our mordant treated yarns, the texture of our 100% superwash merino is altered. It feels less superwash, and you can see it's almost a little felted. Maybe between the two rounds that it went in the pot for the mordanting process and then through the dyeing process, maybe that did have some kind of effect. But our wool of the Andes isn't really felted. It tends to like stick a little bit at times, but the texture of the Swish DK has been altered, which honestly is a little disappointing. Now, I am currently soaking some of the same yarn from our mordant process in some black beans at room temperature, or some black bean extract, I should say. And so I'm curious to see what the texture of our Swish DK feels like in the end. But I am absolutely considering trying a cool mordant process in the future, where we add the yarn to our mordant bath for a couple days and to have like that cool process. I also think from here on out I will rinse the yarn after doing the mordant, so that way there's less of everything around when we go into our dye bath. Ultimately, this Swish DK is still really soft. It just feels like it doesn't have the same like drape and softness as the one that was not treated with the mordant does. And I think that the no mordant avocado yarns feel so pink because they are next to these greens. If I remove the yellow greens and you look at the yarn with no mordant, all of a sudden it really does start to feel a little bit more brown. A warm brown, but it definitely feels a lot more pink once we introduce these more yellow greens into the equation. I am so glad that I tried this out another time. I thought I had so many avocados, pits, and skins, well, mostly skins because those were easier to dry out, but I thought I had so much material saved up. Maybe it's not worth drying them out. Maybe I should save them in the freezer or something so that they're a little more fresh. Let me know in the comments what the best way is to save up avocado pits and skins for this type of project. It'll likely be a little while before I can try this again, but we do eat a lot of avocados in the Brown family, so I've got that going for me. I did some reading, and I think one of the big reasons why I didn't end up with bright pinks is because of the way that I was heating the avocado skins, both with the extraction and also when I was adding the yarn. So maybe if I try this again, I can make more of an effort to keep the heat on really low, or I could do something very similar to the black bean technique that I am currently working on and see if a cold method would give us some better results. This yarn is either already in the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop or will be in there soon. I am going to reskein all of them first and take a closer look at the fibers. If I ever think that there is any damage to any of the yarn that I've dyed, I always make that clear in the video description. And so for this one that does have a texture difference, I would absolutely indicate that and discount it slightly. For all that these fibers are a little bit stuck together, the fibers themselves aren't felted. Like the structure and the plies are all really intact. And honestly, the more I handle this yarn, the softer it feels. So maybe it's just a little stiff from the process, but I will definitely update the video description if I think that the quality of this is compromised, especially after I finish the black bean experiment and see how the second skein that I did with the Mordant, how that has come out. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and I really hope that you all found this video informative and helpful. I'm still very new to dyeing yarn with natural dyes, whether it's color I extract myself or an extract that's provided with me. This video is part of my first time trying to mordant yarn, and yeah, I'm maybe a little underwhelmed. I like the color without the mordant significantly better in this instance. I know I keep talking about the black beans, but just wait until you see that yarn. Oh, it is unbelievable. What other kinds of natural dyes would you like me to try? Let me know in the comments what you think. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the ChemKnits Tutorials YouTube channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Even if it takes me a long time to revisit avocados for a third time, I have a lot of extracts and things growing in my yard and around the neighborhood that I could try out. So I am just so excited to keep this journey going forward. Thank you so much for watching, everyone.